This video features our most comprehensive test to date. We'll be using the in-game editor again to prove just how important mental attributes are in Football Manager. We'll be providing you with a definitive answer on how many points per season we think a boost of just an average of one mental attribute score is worth. But it doesn't stop there. As always, we'll be sharing our lessons learned after simulating 121 matches in FM23, and we'll feature a 40-yard screamer from our favourite ever player in Football Manager history, as well as an edge-of-the-box overhead kick from the most OP striker in the game at the moment. And we'll be asking you for your predictions in each case as we talk you through all of our experiments. So buckle up for FM Immortal's best video yet. First things first then, why are we getting into testing Football Manager's mettle now? Well, we think that this is well timed, given the recent feature reveal videos from Sports Interactive and the Football Manager team, where positional play has been promised as a huge match engine upgrade, and we think that that can only mean added importance when it comes to mental attributes and hidden attributes possessed by players in FM24. So what better reason to jump into the in-game editor again and simulate Napoli versus Inter 121 times.
Have you been up all night simulating FM?
I think I'm blind.
So let me give you a quick overview of what we've tested here. Firstly, we simulated Inter Milan, who we were controlling, using this formation and tactics on screen, playing away at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium, and as always we levelled the playing field somewhat by removing all bans, injuries, unhappiness and the likes, whilst also setting both team cohesions and tactical familiarity to their maximums, and placing every player on both sides on really good morale. That was our simple benchmark though, and we ran 3 experiments where we adjusted the Inter Milan squad's attributes, with 30 matches simulated for each of these changes applied. Experiment A saw the team's personalities altered somewhat, balancing all hidden attributes to a value of 10. This became our control set for the next 2 experiments, and we'll come back to the impact that it had against our original benchmark later as well. Experiment B then saw all mental attributes decline by 2 points, whilst Experiment C saw all mental attributes get a +2 boost for the Inter Milan players, that is. There were some absolute stonkers in terms of games simulated in this entire test, and I'll be showing some highlights in the background as we step through our test results. Before I do that though, I want to show you this magnificent effort from the king of left wing backs in FM, Federico Di Marco. Calm down son, that goalkeeper has a family to go home to. Whilst we're on the topic of Di Marco then, who is our favourite FM player of all time by the way, I want to put the question to you ahead of us taking a look at the control results, and that question is, which of these outcomes do you think we saw most frequently across the benchmarking and control experiments? So in 60 games, did we see Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen combining for a goal more often, Romelu Lukaku scoring a header more often, or Federico Di Marco scoring or assisting more often? I'll give you 5 seconds to have a guess. It was in fact honestly Di Marco that took first prize here, although of the 371 goals witnessed in our test, Kvicha and Victor combined on a fair few of them, and Big Rom's massive bounce was irrepressible at times. Let's get stuck into the results then, and starting out with the performance across the benchmarking and control experiments, where initially we changed nothing and then adjusted the hidden attributes only for the Inter squad, giving them balanced personalities. Well, here is how it played out. Napoli had a win percentage of 50 in the benchmarking, and this was very similar but for a few draws in the control. Perhaps most interestingly, the goals per game shot up for Inter, when we'd balanced their personalities. Not quite sure what's going on there. But it'll be this set of results that we use to measure the effects of us changing the mentality overall. So what do you think is going to happen when we boost the inter-team's mental attributes by 2 points? Well, you might be surprised to learn, as I was, that the results weren't actually as good as in either of the first 2 experiments. Though the points and goals per game were broadly in line, the side registered 2 fewer wins. Again, we didn't really expect this result, so that one took us by surprise. What do you think the results will be like when we take original mental attribute stats down by 2 each though? Are you expecting a dramatic plummet in performance, or do you think that it will be there or thereabouts? Now, you may be surprised again that... No, they got absolutely fisted. Napoli won 70% of the games and Inter only registered 3 wins, one of them the jammiest we've seen, with a massive bit of FMing going on. Getting a total of 9 points out of the Gli Azzurri, Inter were a travesty. So what did we learn? Well, number 1, the higher mental ability does not necessarily lead to more comebacks. We saw a total of 3 wins from behind for Inter across the entire test, and we were hoping that this would be a lot higher with Experiment C, where we boosted the mental attributes, but it goes to show instead that the manager's motivational influence is not to be overlooked. I was obviously fresh into the season here and hadn't had the time to win over the changing room as a manager of Inter Milan, and it showed in the difficulty that I had in getting the players pumped. Not just when they were trailing in the match, but before kick-off too. So sticking on that same theme, the second big lesson was how the average IQ of the squad dictates which messages are most effective. For instance, we saw a lot of nerves amidst the team when we carried out Experiment B, which we were expecting as we'd bore witness to the same thing during this video, where we tested if FM could be moneyballed by focusing on maximising only their top 5 attributes by position. So when it came to touchline shouts, encourage was almost the only thing that got any reaction whatsoever. And at halftime, any form of criticism was consistently met with frustration or counter-motivating results. In fact, the only time that my team responded well to comments like "show me something different in the second half" was before I'd changed any of the hidden attributes, let alone altered their mental ability. And in at number 3 is that Big Rom is about as overpowered as they come. In Football Manager 2023 at least, and even with a handicap on his mental and hidden attributes, he scored this absolutely ridiculous scissor bastard during Experiment C, and partnered with Lautaro and DiMarco feeding him killer passes galore, Inter are an FM force to be reckoned with on this game. In terms of the overall test result then, this is my conclusion. Comparing experiments B and C to the results of our control group in experiment A, where all we did was balance the players' personalities, we can conclude that a 4-point difference in average mental ability is worth 21% more goals per game, 54% more points per game, and potentially 7 more wins per season. If you were to assume then that the mental attribute scale is linear, and that by improving your squad's mental attributes by just 1 and not 4 during a summer rework, you could be on for, I estimate, plus 6 points on your previous season's performance, which you never know could be enough to clinch that title. But we know that's not quite how it's likely to work, and also that this isn't the biggest sample size in the world. But it has taken us a good few days to sit through 121 matches attentively enough to capture highlights and passive learnings. We are only an amateur channel, albeit we're a growing channel with over 1,000 subs and nearly 40 videos on our channel now too. Big love to you if you're a subscriber, by the way, especially this mad lad who thinks we're one of the best FM content creators for some reason. Thank you very much. But the message is we try our best to get to the conclusions that nobody else has attempted yet, and whilst our tips should be taken with a pinch of salt, we'll always try our best to draw out some nuggets of wisdom, be it through intention or luck. And the main thing is we've got content ideas and memes for days. But Adam, why do you keep mentioning 121 games? Surely there were only 120. Well, you see, we couldn't do all of this and not get into the real meat and potatoes of this test. That is, which is the better set of attributes, mental or physical? That's right, we have simulated the same match but in a brains versus brawn extravaganza, and we're going to publish that incredibly conclusive result in part 2 of our testing Football Manager's Mettle video, which we'll release on our channel tomorrow. So hit that subscribe button folks, and as always, let me know what you liked or perhaps disagreed with down in those comments, and we'll catch you soon. Adios.